Hey everyone, welcome to You'll Probably Agree. Today I have Mark the Movie Man, who is like the sweetest guy ever because I was running 30 minutes late when we were doing this episode because I was heading over to Wisconsin on vacation and he's from there. I just name dropped where I was going. Immediately he's like, oh, I know where that's. Yeah, but no, he could have been nicer about it. So thank you, Mark, for your kindness. So today we're talking because I remember we were on Loki's Midweek Mischief. And by the way, your company's Mark the Movie brand from Special Mark Productions, right?
Yeah. I guess you could say company. It's my basement, but yeah.
No, it's great. I mean, you did a great job decorating the whole thing. I mean, I
Thanks.
just grab whatever background is here. I could get a green screen and put in Galway. Well, I want to use Galway when I can. I actually can now, so I'm hitting. Never mind. I don't want to make empty promises to the audience. All right, but we were on Ian Simmons' podcast, Kicking the Seat, and I think Batman Forever came up. And you started going, you know what? Everyone gives Batman and Robin trouble when Batman Forever is the real cat. I'm like, yes. How did Batman Forever get off of the hook, with all of its, zoom? I don't know, with zooming in on people's crotches and all that. That had that there in the beginning. All the stuff from Batman Forever was just upgraded in Batman and Robin. And I don't know, from someone who seems to know, because I think you called yourself the DC shill or something like that. Yeah.
Well, I believe someone, not naming names, sir, you called me a DC shill, I think, on the episode. So
I didn't even, did I?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was.
Sorry.
It was an episode I wasn't on. I was just in the text chat. No, I found it hilarious. I'm like, I'm fine with it, being amongst all the Marvel folks. But yeah, no, it's funny because for years, Batman and Robin was the trigger movie for me. And this is back in early days of internet. In fact, one of my comm classes, he had a choice of either writing a paper or doing a website on GeoCities. I mean, okay, I'm old, but so we did one, and I literally dedicated an entire web page to my rant on Batman and Robin.
Oh my God.
And then 3 years ago on the Spoiler Room, we did Batman month. And I watched all of them in order, including starting with the 1966 Bat movie, complete with shark bat repellent,
Oh yeah.
I love that movie. Anyway, so watching them all back to back, I realized they're like, well, at least I know what Batman and Robin now was doing. They were trying to do the 1966 film, full on 1960. And I'm like, okay, I can appreciate it a little more. I still don't like it, but it didn't trigger me this time as badly as Batman Forever did. Rewatching these, and I watched it just for you, sir. I rewatched it today.
Oh my God.
Show, so.
I was gonna do that last night because I thought this was tomorrow, and I was gonna watch this tonight actually. But the thing is, I've seen it so many times as a kid. It's like I know it by heart. But I mean, the movie, I can't tell what the most annoying aspect of it is, because the film is sort of like the cinematic equivalent to being screamed in the face at by children, even more so than Batman and Robin, because Batman and Robin at least knows what it's doing. It knows it's stupid. Batman Forever is like, oh, but we're still a little dark, and we're going to talk about, Batman's dark history. People say, well, there's a director's cut where there's dark stuff in there. Is that going to be great? No, it's not like the Snyder cut where another guy came in and remade his movie. This is just going to be just more deleted scenes where you're going to be like, when you see it, But that's the thing. Batman Forever doesn't really seem to have an identity where Batman and Robin at least knows it's so stupid. But at that point, the damage was done. The audience kind of knew they didn't want it, but they didn't know it quite yet. Because I think Batman Returns really kind of put a bad taste of Penguin's black goo in their mouth.
See, and I dug Batman Returns, and if you follow what Burton wanted to do with the third film, it was mind-blowing. I'm sitting here going, how he would have ever sold that to mainstream audiences, I don't know, but I don't care, because I would been here, take my money. I think one of the things is Batman Forever was so jarring from Batman Returns for what was set up, that it just wasn't. And the promos are great. I have the teaser poster. The teaser poster is awesome. There's just the black. There's just the.
I mean, you see something like this, you know. My nose can gush blood,
Yeah, at least my nose isn't gushing blood. Oh, Danny DeVito got so into that film.
Yeah, it's just, and then why would he put up the subscriptions right when he bites his nose? Like, but there it is, kids film, But so you had that, and then Warner Brothers is going, fuck.
Well, not only that, the sex too, the sexual stuff in Batman Returns.
I've been looking for.
Yeah. I mean, but I liked that. I enjoyed the chance he took with it. Batman Forever is like some teenager who thought they knew what Burton was going for with Batman Returns. He says, "Oh, I can write that." So in the opening of Batman Forever, if you can get past the music, okay, the first music, oh my God,
I know, like you could tell they're trying so hard for a new theme, and you're like, huh? It's a but please continue.
And it's screaming. That's the screaming children you're talking about, because in the first, this film manages to destroy everything that was set up in the first two films within the first minute. The first minute of the Batman and it just destroys all of that, from a butt shot to the armor's different. You're like, okay, the suit's different. I get it. Every movie marketing that. And then that ugly ass Batmobile shows up, and you're like, what the hell is that?
It looks like a peacock. Yeah.
Why is it glowing? He's supposed to be Batman in the dark. Why is it glowing? And then you have that theme. Da, 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 da.
Ba, 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 ba. Yeah.
So you then get not Joker, Two-Face, which is such a waste of Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah.
In this film.
It's just ridiculous. Everything looks like a nightclub. No, continue.
Yeah. But that was the tough part. Like 30 seconds of Two-Face was great. Was the very first part where we see his silhouette and he's doing the speech and he's doing the coin. I'm like, cool. And then he kicks into this, like, I'm not trying to be the Joker, but I'm pretty much the Joker all the time, with his puns and his and all of this. And I'm like, that's not how Two-Face, even with the two different, that's not how Two-Face is. And then Batman swoops in and shows up in the middle of a crowd talking to Commissioner Gordon like this is an everyday thing. And then we have Chase Meridian, who is literally like just about to jump on Batman.
Like she's just like every little boy's sexual fantasy, ironically directed by a gay man. But hey, that scene where she's in that bathing suit, Joel knows what he said. Joel knows. He
knows, but I mean, she like immediately you get the sexual stuff, like overly, and that's where I'm like, you missed the point from Batman Returns. Those people, I mean, here their jokes, it's bright music, the blaring, and it just gets, it's like a steam, it's just like a snowball. It just, you're like, okay, well, maybe we'll ease into it, we'll get better. And then we get Jim Carrey, who embodies every single character he ever played up until that point and brings it to the screen, and then does a line of cocaine, I think, because his character, his enigma was just, oh
God. No, and the thing was, like, I don't know if Tommy Lee Jones is entirely at fault of this. Maybe he was just sort of adding his anger to the direction of the film, which he chose anyways, and is already thematically goofy. But that story where Tommy Lee Jones approaches Jim Carrey inside of a restaurant, puts his arm around him, and he goes, "I hate you. I cannot fathom your buffoonery." Hey, he might as well have just said, "I went to Yale." Like, we get it, dude.
It is funny because Jim Carrey's a hit and miss with me. And in this one, initially, when I heard it was going to be Jim Carrey, I'm like, oh, awesome. And then it depends on which Jim Carrey you get. And we got the wrong Jim Carrey in this film.
And I think he tried to redeem that with, what was the one that he did? It's like number 29 or something like that. It was by Joel Schumacher.
25. 25, I think it was.
I remember they would not shut the fuck up about that movie and all the marketing. Like, number 25, what's going to be? I'm like, it's going to be a movie that sucks. But anyways, I haven't seen it though, but he was good in that. He's good in, if you see him in like Eternal Sunshine, you get that Jim Carrey where you're like, oh wow, I didn't.
He was good in was it a Majestic or whatever, where he theater. I love that.
Overlooked Frank Darabont film.
I love that film, you know, and even the Truman Show. I like him in those roles where he's not amped up Jim Carrey, like, you know, Ace Ventura type. And he was like that in here. And maybe I honestly think it's the script and the direction, because Tommy Lee Jones is a fantastic actor. I mean, even you got Nicole, you know, Kidman in here. You got Tommy Lee Jones. You've got friggin' Val Kilmer playing Batman, which, okay. But, you know, you've got a lot of talent to work with here, and it still comes off such a mess.
Yeah, because also, I mean, if you see a lot of the BTS stuff behind the scenes for us in the industry, you get the Joel Schumacher would like literally get on the megaphone and just say, just remember everyone, it's a comic book. It's just like, dude, that's not the right way to go. You're not respecting it if you're just thinking it's dumb. I mean, I will give Joel Schumacher credit, although I don't know if he had to do this. Like, it's probably just shows how nice of a guy he was. But I think he actually apologized about Batman and Robin.
And it was Batman like, Forever too. He apologized for doing those films. Yeah, that's basically that was a number of years ago. He did a video, a post on YouTube or whatever, where he kind of apologized, and you come to find out that that's because the DC producers were in his back pocket, basically constantly bugging him about the type of movie. Don't do it like Burton, you know. Never mind, Burton films made them bank.
Even Batman. Well, the Batman, I see why they why they kind of like flipped it. But you know, still, it's just
they wanted to go more family orientated. So this Batman Forever is this weird amalgamation to where it's still trying to carry over the Returns and even those psychosexual overtones from Returns, but also bring in that 60s camp and bring them together. And it just is, you're like, there's fits and spurts that are good. There's like when Enigma later on in the film, you know, his device takes off, you know, and he's playing the rich guy, and you get that little back and forth with him and Bruce Wayne. I actually liked that little bit. And there's a few other bits in here too, like with Bruce Wayne, and though I'm like sitting here going, did we have to visit the death again?
How many times are we going to shoot his parents?
We went through one movie where he didn't have that, and Batman Returns, he didn't have his death of his parents. It's like, all right. And then Batman Forever comes along and like, no, we're kind of soft rebooting, so we're going to show the death of his parents again.
I know, you get real tired of it. I don't know, like, I'm trying to think, like, if I were to rate my favorite like Bruce Wayne parent death, it probably would be the original Batman followed by Joker. Because they're like total, like, because like the Nolan parent deaths are just kind of like generic, like, oh, they scream and the camera goes fast and it's done. Zoom out. Where the Joker one, you know, he just like, he doesn't just shoot her and like rip her pearls off. He like shoots her and then he's like, fuck you. He doesn't even care. But anyways, I'm a defender of Joker. I think that's a great movie. But I understand why it's you know.
I enjoyed Joker. I've seen that film before. That's not saying it was bad, but it was just the big huge hype that some people had with it. I'm like, I've watched these films. I'm not saying that was a bad thing. It was an interesting way to take that character, and I did enjoy it. And in my review, I still gave it a positive spin. I'm like, it's a solid film, but it's one of those where the YouTube reviewiverse went like,
oh God,
you know, they just went like, oh my God. And I'm like, watch Taxi Driver, king of comedy. Watch those and you'll see exactly where this film came from.
Oh, it's not subtle about it at all. I mean, they even cast Robert De Niro, you know, so that's how subtle they were. But look, it's funny though, like I get what you mean. That's how I felt with Last of Us, but I don't know. I'm gonna get off on a rant with that. But the thing is, I am a sucker for atmosphere in a film. The story could just be but if cinematically you can just hit me in the right, I like dark, moody, but very. If you, it doesn't matter. I'll admit, like I'll give a movie more stars than it did. Like people, I think it was like we were talking trash on Ian's podcast where someone was like, "Yeah, Blade Runner 2049 is overrated," and it's like, "Yeah, it's just atmosphere," and I'm like, "So was Blade Runner." The whole movie is just beautiful shots. Are you fucking kidding?
Blade Runner is a slow noir film. I don't know why, you know, it's like,
it has so much integrity. I'm not gonna say integrity. That's the word. Of introspection in its script. Watching Harrison Ford drink whiskey shirtless, looking at a picture for 20 minutes. Oh my God, how incredible! It's the atmosphere, guys.
But that's, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go ahead.
No, go please.
I was just gonna say that I think that's where Batman Forever is lacking. It doesn't have, like you were saying in the beginning, it doesn't have a solid identity or atmosphere. It's trying to do both. Whereas in Batman and Batman Returns, and part of that is they use sets. Here in Forever, I think is the first one where they're using on location in New York. They're shooting majority of it. That's not on stage. Some of it is actually shot in New York, whereas the other two, pretty much everything was on sets. But Burton made a world that felt like Batman had an identity. So even the smallest scenes, you knew you were in that world. And like you said, that dark atmosphere, there was always, it was Gotham, it was crime riddled, and you felt that. Here, it's hard to get atmosphere when you have the blaring soundtrack with the one of the worst superhero themes I've ever heard. You know, and Jim Carrey's hyperactivity and you know, Two-Face mostly being his crazy self, not being calm, when in every other iteration, Two-Face is usually the calm half for most of it, and then he sneaks into his evil half, but he's still not batshit crazy. You know, there's no identity, no atmosphere with Batman Forever, and at least there was with the first two Returns, and like you were saying, Blade Runner. You know, atmosphere can add a lot. Really.
I mean, look at the reason the reboots worked, you know, with Batman Begins going and all that, is because it had a very sort of gritty, to use a fancy term, mise en scène to it, you know, where it felt like the first one felt a little bit like a fantasy city, and then Dark Knight, they just were like, fuck it, it's Chicago. And like,
no hiding it here. We're in Chicago. We're not even bothering to cover this up. We're not even going to rename stores. Screw it.
No, if you actually watched the movie, I didn't even like try to spot it. I just noticed it like one day when I was, you know, watching it after having a few beverages, and I noticed on the building it said like Chicago something, and I'm like, oops. But
oopsie.
But Nolan's like that. He's 12 on 12. I know guys who've like worked on his set there. He's like 12 on 12 off. He's very strict about his schedule. That's why he doesn't allow cell phones, which like I'm like, that's bullshit. But then I'm like, wait a minute, but he actually finishes on time. Fuck it, have my phone, man. I don't want to be on this set 18 hours. All right, seen Christian Bale, cool. Like, let's move on. And I don't know, from experience, that's how I felt. But but those had an atmosphere that everyone is trying to replicate, mostly DC itself with the Snyderverse, with varying levels of success. I actually really dug the Snyder Cut, just because of the story behind it. And it's like, oh wow, this was a competent movie that wasn't like, it was still stupid. I didn't care about Aquaman at all, but
Sure.
I cared about the Flash and everyone else, but
that still fit
atmosphere.
in. It fit in with the other films. Whereas if you look at the Justice League, that didn't. You could tell it was someone else trying to play in that world versus the Snyderverse, which at least, whether or not you hate them or not, they at least have a consistent identity with them. Not just the colors. Yes, I know, washed out colors, whatever. Okay, fuck.
Yeah.
But I enjoy them. But they at least,
I think they're very beautiful. Yeah.
At least they all felt like they were in the same place. And that was the problem with Forever as well, is you get to Batman Forever, you're like, this is not God. I don't know where they are.
Yeah.
This is not Gotham. I mean, it's Gotham. But
I don't know what city. It was like Metropolis mixed with a sex club is the best way I could think of it. And when they have that, it's like the movie doesn't know what it is, and you can tell like the cast doesn't know what it is, because like Val Kilmer plays it too seriously. George Clooney just doesn't even give a shit, and you end up kind of getting those two movies where you look at something the polar opposite, like the Snyder Cut. It's like, maybe it's not the greatest thing that we all like, but all the actors know what Zack Snyder's doing. And to an extent, you're like, you can kind of tell they are having fun. I mean, Ben Affleck didn't look like he was having fun. He looked like he was just tired and on a bender and then just had to burn off all the calories working off. I mean, as a former alcoholic, I can relate. But I mean, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I mean, you see behind the scenes, everyone's laughing. Ben's like, he's like the sad
he's just tired.
Yeah, but even then he agreed with Zack Snyder's vision. Here's like nobody knew what, like Joel Schumacher had to yell on the megaphone what they were doing, which if you're having to do that, if you're trying to yell on the megaphone, we're being silly, it's like, then I don't know, maybe comedy. At least Batman and Robin I enjoy because it just knows it's just doing the 60s.
Yeah, it's doing the 60s camp all the way. I mean, from start to finish, and you're like, even though they do Bane completely wrong in that film, at least they know what they're doing. This,
I forgot about that. I forgot. You just made me right.
Yeah, that whew.
I mean, between Bane and Arnold, you can't tell who's saying what. You might as well throw Tom Hardy in there from a time machine and open up the multiverse of DC. You got just talking to each other.
Where nearly every single one of Schwarzenegger's lines is some kind of ice pun or cold pun. I mean, literally nearly every. I think he's got like 40 lines. I think he got $1 million per line or something. I don't know. It was, he did not have a lot of lines in that movie.
There's a 2.5-minute video on YouTube of just his ice puns. That's like how many there are.
And that's most of his dialogue. And, and in here you get Jim Carrey and trying to do riddles with the simplest riddles. I'm like, okay, if you're going to go silly with the riddles, go 1960s, Gershon riddles, what weighs 3 ounces and can kill a sparrow with a machine gun, stuff like that, stuff that just, okay, if you're going to go silly, and it's trying not to. And then they bring Robin in the most ridiculous way in this film. You're like, okay, the minute you don't, you're like, okay, even if you didn't see the credits, okay, Graysons, okay, here we go. What doesn't make sense with the death of the Graysons in this one, among many things that don't make sense, is the family is crawling out onto the scaffolding as this bomb's being lifted up that Two-Face set. Robin goes into the roof figuring the bomb's going to go up there. Then what is his family doing up on the scaffolding before they get shot? Why'd they go out there? They didn't have to go out there at all. They went out there specifically so Two-Face can take them out. And it was like that. It was, and that's the problem, is there was so much potential with this film, and you can see it, but you could see some producer or somebody came down to Joel Schumacher and said, remember, it's a comic book film. We're supposed to make it happy. And that's when Joel gets on the bullhorn,
Yeah. That's what disappoints me so much. It's I think if they just, I think it was just Warner Brothers panicking.
Oh, yeah.
And well, I mean, really, what they should have done is just take a step back and just say, "Hey, Tim, uh, lighten it up next time," or just. I think Batman, because I like Batman more than Batman Returns, but I like Batman Returns to the over. I respect the fact that it just went there.
Yeah.
It went crazy. If you see the screenwriter, he looks like someone who hung out with Tim Burton in high school. I mean, like it is what it is, but I appreciate it. I mean, it's a headache. That movie is also the cinematic equivalent. Instead of a children screaming at you, it's like, I don't know, like my wife screaming at me if I had one. Yeah,
you're in a bondage. You're almost in a bondage type situation with Batman Returns. But
yeah,
I thought it was bold that the move that he took in that direction. He's saying, "Hey, you let me do a mature one." Kind of mature one with the first one. Wait till you see this one.
Yeah,
but
you're really gonna like Dark. We're gonna try to kill babies. Yeah, but like, whoa,
we're killing the firstborn of it. I was like, whoa, we went there.
Like, you don't notice it as a kid. It was like until you're older, you notice it.
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't until I was a lot of older, because before, I was just Batman Returns. This is awesome. It's 92.
Yeah.
I'm like a big fan of the first. I'm like, and I'm digging it. And then I look back at it now when I rewatch it, and I still love it. But I'm like, wow, he went to a lot of places you don't expect him to, and he fully committed to that. But again. Yeah. Everybody in that film knew what they were making. I mean, Michelle Pfeiffer was all in. She nailed the whip of the mannequin heads on the first try. She trained with that whip for 3 months.
Yeah.
Danny DeVito with his penguin grotesque look. It was like, holy shit, he's the Penguin. It's like, and everybody was all in on that. And a lot of comic book films, even today, whether you're Marvel, DC, or independent or other, Burton managed to juggle more than one villain in a film. And people are like, hey, we can do that. And it's like, did you pay attention to how he juggled the villains in that film? Because most sequels of most films don't do that. I'm looking at you, Spider-Man 3. It's like you need the right villains.
You made a great point with that. It did juggle, because everyone's criticism about Batman Returns is that he's barely in the movie. Right. And the thing is like Act 1 is about or Act 1 and 2 are about Catwoman and Two-Face, what? Catwoman and Two-Face, Penguin and Two-Face. Yeah.
I would have liked to say that.
But you get Penguin, you get his little childhood sad story where it's sort of I don't know if you've ever watched the DVD extras on 89 Batman, but there's a wonderful story. I think I can't remember the name of it, but by the executive producer of the film, where he breaks down the story of Moses and the story of Superman, and was able to get. Anyways, they kind of have like a Moses-like moment where they drop him from his crib into the water, and he goes out into the unknown, although they weren't trying to rescue him, they just didn't want him, which is another thing. But you go from that to Selena Kyle's story, and both of these villains were kind of, their struggles were relatable. I mean, initially I thought Penguin actually wanted to be I bought into his bullshit where he wanted to know who he was
and
as a
guy,
person. Yeah, but really he was just screwing with everyone. While Catwoman, and that talk about a woke role for its time, man. Like that was a strong female character where she's scary. Like Michelle Pfeiffer will forever be like my Catwoman. Like she scares the shit out of me, and that's the only person I can think of who's sexy and scary as well, maybe Charlize Theron could pull that off, but
yeah, maybe. I mean, that shot when she first opens the door after she got pushed out the door by Max, when she enters her apartment, she just looks freaking frightening in that. And then,
the eye fluttering.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and again, here you had another Batman film full of talent that Burton knew how to use. Yeah. And in Forever, I'm like, why are you having Nicole Kidman? They try. And there's, like I said, there's bits in here. Like when Bruce Wayne goes to her office and he hears her fighting and she's punching. There's actually some great dialogue in here about duality and dealing with trauma and that. And I'm like, this is great. And then it goes away, and then we don't get a moment like that again. She's fawning and literally throwing herself and ripping her clothes off towards Batman again, and you're just like, chicks dig the car. Batman does not say the car. Chicks dig the car.
Yeah, that's not a Batman line. Maybe some. Who knows? I don't believe that. But yeah, luckily now it's like they know never to not go dark with Batman again. I am excited for the Robert Pattinson Batman reboot. I think it would have been cool if they stuck with Ben Affleck, but I mean, now that I saw, like, when you see the Snyder cut and you see like that end scene where he's like on his balcony, you could tell he didn't want to be on that set. He's like, fine. I think he's done with that role.
It's hard to say. I mean, there's rumors that he may be coming back for The Killing Joke with Jared Leto, which him and Jared Leto in The Killing Joke, I was having this conversation with someone the other day. I was like, out of all the Jokers I could see that have been brought to screen, Jared Leto's is the one that I think would be the most acceptable to do the Killing Joke storyline, because his is so just freaky, and a lot of people don't like him anyway. You couldn't really do, you really couldn't do Ledger's Joker, and that's because Ledger's Joker was not that type of Joker. About the only one close to being able to do a Killing Joke would be Jack Nicholson's next, would probably be, but that's a little stretch because he's a little bit he was a little bit classier Joker than that. He wouldn't really, even though he had a bad opinion of women, he also was very vain, and so he probably wouldn't. So, Affleck might be back, especially with the little cha-ching that they offer. But yeah, I'm interested in Patterson's. He's a good actor. He like Kirsten Stewart, and I feel bad because I am guilty of it early on. Got bad raps because most of us were introduced to them from the Twilight films, which even they say weren't really great films. They weren't really written well or directed well.
A check is a check.
But a check is a check, and it got them to be on the marquee, and they starred in it, and it opened up a lot of doors for them, and they did a lot of indie stuff afterwards. So I'm looking forward to his interpretation of Batman. It's like when Joker came out. You mentioned Joker. These alternate kind of versions of these characters, I honestly think this is where DC can tap into something Marvel's not brave enough to do. Is go these routes with these characters you might know, but here's a different situation. And if you read comics, you're a comic book fan, go to a shelf, you'll see 8 different versions of a Batman storyline and 5 different of a Superman, and you'll see all these different titles that have slightly different storylines to them. And I think they should do that rather than trying to keep pace with Marvel. Say, fine, you want to go do that, that's fine. Here's a Joker that's a retelling of Taxi Driver, but what if Taxi Driver, but what if it's the Joker? Here's Batman, but what if he's a younger, little more emo, little more dark gothic guy, because it is goth. I'm interested to see what they do with it, in all honesty. I love the car and the outfit that they've shown so far. So,
the car is kind of weird. It's like, oh, they're going back to a sports car, but I guess that's like really what it originally was. Like if you look at the comics, like it was really just kind of like a sports car. But the thing is, I agree. You make a great point, which is DC should say, we're not going to do what Marvel did. We learned our mistake. We're not doing cinematic universes and all that. We just want to make good movies. And we want to have different directors with different visions show what they can bring to the table, rather than just one director and one vision. Because if you look at Marvel's films, yes, they have all these different directors, but their visions aren't going to be fully realized because you're still working with the committee. And
Feige is in their back pocket. He's in the editing bay with them. Kevin is visiting the set all the time going, did you hit this point and this point?
Now it has to go here or else. Okay. But yeah, I mean, and I can't blame Disney. It's like, it was a business model. It worked. And I think when you walk into those movies, you're not getting final cut of this. This isn't your movie,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And you go, I mean, if they told me to come and direct a Marvel, I'd be like, fuck yeah, just give me the script and just give me the scenes. As long as it's not bad. Like, I'm sure the directors have to go, I don't know about this. And they'll actually listen to directors. So at a certain point, they're going to be like, don't do that extreme stuff. But yeah, I'm worried now with the What If show. The What If show was like, oh, that's what I wanted to see. But maybe that's Marvel going, oh, no, we're not going to screw this up. Here you go.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what they're doing with that. Yeah.
Well, and it's going to be animated. I heard.
Yeah.
It's so.
Yeah.
Just by making it animated versus live action, it separates it enough so that they can do the odd stuff if they want to.
Yeah.
And it really, there won't be as solid a connection between the MCU, you know, and the what. It's like, oh, this is an alternate thing. Okay. You know, we don't necessarily need to hit all the dots here because these are standalone stories. Whereas even in the TVs, you know, the shows, that's why I am digging the shows that Marvel's doing, because we're exploring characters that we haven't really heard or talk about before. No offense to the main core people in the first phase, you know, I mean, phase 1 through 3, the first 10 years. But it was getting a little tiresome to see the same guys pop up all the time. Like, you know, Iron Man, take a breath. Man, take it. We know you're in this universe. You don't need to show up either in the end credit sequence or almost half of Spider-Man's return to the Marvel universe, and you're there all the time. You know, it was like with Batman Forever. It's like, oh great, we're getting Two-Face, and then you get the Two-Face we got, and you're like, huh?
Yeah.
Why is he neon? Why is he? It's like, what's with the, you know, the hyperness to him? It's like that's not this character, you know.
I think if I were to make a theory, I think DC's doing the What If show to see, like, okay, I want to see if our multiverse idea is stupid. If people hate the show, maybe we'll just we'll just leave it as is. I don't know. It could be a test run.
It could be a test run. I mean, you know, the whole multiverse thing, a lot of people are like, it'll be fun to see the folks who just watched the movies of fandom, because again, I'm not that versed in Marvel, but I know enough that the two run parallel to each other. You've got equivalencies here, including the idea and concept of multiverse. I mean, DC and Marvel approach it slightly differently, but they're still there. And I'm like, one hand, I like it. The other hand, I'm like, that makes it too easy to retcon the what you've got. You know, on one hand, it's like, it was like the time thing. You know, that was the one thing with Endgame. It's like, you know, Infinity War, you had the big sacrifice of Gamora, boom, dead, done. We're done with Gamora. Endgame comes around. Well, we got Gamora back. She's a little different, you know.
Nobody dies in the MCU.
And that's the thing is, a lot of people, you know, with the Black Widow, and now they've got the Black Widow movie coming out, which is a prequel. I understand, kind of a in between, you know, kind of fill in the gaps story, which I haven't seen yet. I'm seeing Saturday, but it's like, still, it's like, that's the one disadvantage thing I don't like, is if you don't keep those characters dead, suddenly it takes away from the original. That's why I had problems with all the sequels after Terminator 2, because I'm a huge shill for Terminator 2. I was obsessed with that movie, you know. And
and that just came out 30th anniversary. I think I watched it on the day with a friend of mine who I think he only sees 3 movies, and that's Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, and Terminator 2.
Well, that's not a bad 3 films if you're going to watch it. But
that, you know, like recent Marvel stuff. But that's about it.
but where I was going with that is, like, bringing Gamora back, and rumblings already that, oh, they could find a way to bring Black Widow back. It's like, it totally neuters the emotional impact that you had on the previous film. So those of us who are watching these as they're released aren't necessarily going to lose that, because we love the, you know, the sequel. But if anyone else is watching this first and then goes back, you're like, oh, well, she comes back or whatever. It's like Terminator. Oh, you know, Terminator 2, boom, and the future isn't written. Great. Terminator 3 comes in, and you've completely wiped everything, all the themes, the philosophy, the emotional impact, the sacrifices, everything from 2. You've you've just negated all of that. And having Gamora back, suddenly you're like, okay, so now that her death, if I rewatch this, her death doesn't have as much meaning because I know she's coming back in, a different form, but it's still Gamora. It's still the character.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I wish there were more stakes to these sort of movies, but that's why I like something like Joker. There were stakes because you knew it was like, wait a minute, this is a guy writing a movie about a character that's not following the comics. Like Joker could die in this. The whole movie could be in his head. There was one rumor by Kevin Smith that's and who knows if it's true or not. Kevin Smith talks, I don't know, he was probably like high, but whatever, it's cool, where he said that I can't remember Tony, what was the director's name again? Tony Todd?
No, not Tony Todd. No, I know who you're talking. You mean for Joker?
Yeah,
I forgot.
Whatever, the Hangover guy. So the Hangover guy was talking to him, and he said that like one of the alternate endings was that they shoot Bruce Wayne's parents in front of him. The guy turns around and then shoots Bruce Wayne. Oh. I'm like, wow.
That was Todd Phillips.
Todd Phillips. That was it. Yeah. It was one of those guys with a T. Yeah. But yeah, it's like, that's the kind of stuff I love. It's like, oh yeah, what if you could make these movies like this and it's not within the same universe, and you're trying to do like I have to say that Batman trailer got me pumped. When he just beats that guy's face in and he takes a couple breaths and he's like, no, fuck him. And he just hits him 2 more times.
Well,
that's porn to me,
Well, and then the Riddler too, looking just completely different than we've ever seen the Riddler look before.
Oh yeah, but was he in the trailer or was he the guy with the mask?
It's supposedly a lot of people aren't quite sure. They think it might be the Riddler, but anyway, he's like wrapped up in like a bag and stuff. Not quite Scarecrow, but I mean, he's just looking completely different than way he looks in most of the comics. And I want to see more of that. I really want to see, because I grew up in an age where we only had Superman for the longest time. I mean, that was it. That was your only superhero. And Spider-Man on the Electric Company TV show. That's where you had your superhero characters, until Batman came along and showed, hey, look, you can make money on anybody other than Superman. So I appreciate having all these characters, but I want to see more than the same guys. There's so many characters you could explore. And that's why I actually am digging the Marvel TV shows, is because you're exploring all these minor characters and are giving them some growth and getting to learn about them, more so than your standard Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, or, Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman. It's like, we know those characters. Okay. I want to see more. Give me a Swamp Thing movie again. They did a show, but give me a Swamp Thing movie again. They do some wild stuff with him. And that's why I'm looking forward to the Shazam movie, because I love Shazam.
That movie was fun. Yeah, it was fun. It was a little too still the opening was really dark. Like the parents get slammed in a car crash. I was like, I thought this movie was supposed to be fun. What's up? Yeah, but
that movie kept the best, I would say, this best secret, the way that movie ends. That opening weekend, nobody saw that ending coming the way they took it. And it was like, wow. And I was like, wow, they kept this under wraps and didn't hint at it at all in the trailers. Mad props for you. And now they're doing the second one, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm like, do that, quit borrowing from the trilogy. Yeah, you've got the Trinity, that's fine. But you got all these other wonderful characters you could explore, in the DC universe that you could do. You could take more liberties with, and people will have a less of a problem with, because they're not as well known.
Yeah, just because I just go and watch this for myself because I like it. But when you see something like this gets me more hyped than some Marvel film.
I like how they've made the suit far more mobile.
Yeah, and he's just like, I'm gonna take a break. No, I'm
gonna punch you 2 more times.
Yeah. Sold. Yeah, Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, it was like everybody was all excited with the Nolan and the problem that I had with his Dark Knight was the vehicle. I'm like sitting there going, how I'm like,
the Tumbler? I don't know. I dig the Tumbler. I like that. It's just like Nolan's just like, screw it. It's a tank.
Don't get me wrong. I like it, but I'm like, not exactly. They try to sell the stealthy, but those are some pretty inept cops. Cause I'm like sitting there going, that thing is huge. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, his lights are off and it's black. We didn't see it.
Yeah, I'm like, bullshit. I'm like, no.
Yeah. What was
like
the last time the cops saw something black that they didn't stop? All right. So, who thought we'd go here? But no, but yeah.
Oh, or you take the other one, the Batman Forever, where it glows because they wanted to go. I think I read somewhere they wanted to make it more organic, and I'm like, it looks like ass.
Yeah, it looks like, you know what it looks like? Like when I was a kid, I used to go to Laser Zone. It looked like fucking Laser Zone or like one of those places. Like, oh god. Now I just gotta see the Batmobile here.
And then we get the Batboat and Batwing, and they're designed the same way. And I'm just like,
and then and then Batman and Robin, you get a Bat Bomb.
You get,
but but dude, what? That's not a Batmobile. What is that? Oh, look how glowy his steering wheel is. That's like that makes no sense. Why it's like that? That makes no sense. Val Kilmer looks like he's gonna like burst out of his Batman. So he's more doughy than. This looks terrible. They have the Dutch angle, but yeah, I like my toys.
And Val Kilmer in this one, I didn't like his Batman because I'm like, okay, Chase Meridian, gotta love that name. Chase Meridian. She's this sharp crack psychiatrist, and she didn't notice that there's absolutely no difference in the voice between Batman and Bruce Wayne. I mean, he doesn't even try to make it a little bit different. At least, Michael Keaton did. There's a bit of a difference. And actually, they use that as a great gimmick in Batman Returns when he's just trying to run from the cops. But in this one, there is no separation. Though I like his Batman better than Clooney, because Clooney has the permanent Clooney smirk. So he was a better Wayne, but there was still no separation between his Wayne and Batman. It's like, how do you not know? This is going back to the 60s one. Adam West didn't change the way he talked.
No, he did not.
From being Bruce Wayne to and don't get me wrong, I love Adam West too, and that Batman just so much fun. But
it knew it was stupid. They're like dancing and having beach music. And, come on, man.
You can't beat the Bat-2C.
What's that one meme where he's like, oh my god.
Yeah, but and it's one of those things where it's just like Val Kilmer, you just it's like the check cleared. They're all there. They're like, oh, the check cleared, we're good. Okay.
Did you ever see him in Life's Too Short, where it was like it was basically a show by Warwick Davis where he's basically like a manipulative dwarf trying to cast other dwarves. Yeah. And like Val Kilmer's in like the Return episode, and he just goes around with this Batman mask on, takes it off. And then like Warwick Davis trying to tell everyone, guess who he played? And then they take off the mask and they're like, wait, who's that? And then like they have no idea he's even Batman.
Well, he's coming out with an autobiography movie.
Okay. I got some shit to say about this. Val Kilmer, I feel no one deserves to get what he has. I have a friend who got it where they had to remove his jaw. It wasn't fun, but wasn't he like notoriously known as a monster in Hollywood? Like he put like a cigarette out in the back of a guy's neck, and like on the set of the Island of Dr. Parnassus. And if you've ever seen it, check it out. Yeah. Especially the documentary about it. Oh my god. But like, now all of a sudden it's like we're making this big weepy story. I would like to see that documentary show how he wasn't the best person in the world, but improved, because he's like caused people to leave the industry and stuff like that.
I know. I didn't even hear about his condition. Is that why he dropped out? Because he was making direct-to-video stuff for a while. I know.
He got, Val Kilmer at one point ate Val Kilmer. And then as someone who recently lost 61 pounds, I know.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's like,
Oh yeah, because he did a film because they didn't have a horror action movie yet based off of the holiday. So I think he did Memorial Day because we ran out of holidays. No, he's been taken a weird trip, but you're right. I've heard horror stories too that he was not the most pleasant to work with. I think even on Batman Forever they were talking about people didn't like it and people didn't get along on set, and it was just a shit show. And it shows,
I just don't like fluff pieces about people. Like, here's the thing, like, I want to see a movie about him as a person, as a human being. I'm sure he's not a bad person. I think good people do bad things, and probably Hollywood got to his head and all that. It's easy to, like, I know friends who just go to film festivals, all of a sudden they're like, oh, look how great. It's like, chill out, dude. All right, they took a picture with you. All right.
Yeah, it's great you took a picture. That's awesome. That's great. But yeah, it's like they're not, you paid them $50, right? So they took a picture with you. No,
oh, that reminds me of one. Oh gosh, yeah, that's like C2E2. It's like, do you want to pay $60 to see Dave Bautista, take a picture with him? I'm like, he's right over there. I saw him. It's cool.
So I don't think the problem is that there's a biography on him. It's that he shot it himself. I mean,
yes, that's the problem. It's all him and his perspective. It's like, well, that's not an honest.
I mean, if you're not familiar at all, there's an independent filmmaker named Neil Breen. And Neil Breen,
I know,
you know Neil Breen?
I love this. I just want to take a cup of coffee and spill it all over my laptop. Right.
Neil Breen, he did a series of films, and you just watch them and they are mind-boggling. They are truly mind-boggling. But he did a 5-hour retrospective of his filmmaking techniques. To basically, he went through all of his films and explained how he did things and how he used this technique and what a wonderful film. And I'm just like, it's so self-fulfilling. It's like, wow, man. Wow. And that's what I'm afraid this Val Kilmer project is the fact that, and that was one of the things too that a lot of people had problems with, even just the regular biography films you get, the biopics or biopics, however you want to pronounce it, but where you had two of them back to back. You had Bohemian Rhapsody, and then you had Elton John one, Rocket Man, and Rocket Man at least did not pull as many punches as Bohemian Rhapsody as far as their lifestyle. If you look at what they did, and that was some of the complaints that people had with Bohemian Rhapsody. They're like, you really glossed over a number of things.
Yes.
And Elton John's Rocket Man, they kind of did too, but not nearly as much. They threw more, personal dark stuff in than I thought they were going to with that film. But that's the problem with some of these, is that, depending on who's telling them, it's like, are you really telling a true story, or is this just kind of embellished, highlights?
That's what I'm worried about.
Don't sell it then as a full biopic, just a documentary of me while I'm filmmaking. Okay, this is my life. This is my life documentary.
It just feels so manipulative. It's like he has this horrible condition, and it's like, feel sorry for me. I'm gonna play the victim. It's like, which, by the way, yes, you are a victim of cancer. No one's, but at the same time, it's like, it's kind of like, I'm a hero. Yay. It's like, fuck that. A24, bet. I mean, maybe when I see it, my mind will change.
Again, they may take a different direction with it. It's just that given in past history, some of these things, more often than not, I'm not going to say all of them, because some of them are really good and they don't hide anything, but more often than not, they don't go into the things that really people were known for by those in the actual industry. They only go by what the public knows about them. And you're just like, okay, I mean, it's still entertaining, but okay.
Yeah. But I guess with that said, I don't know if there's anything more I can. Is there anything you wanted to add about Batman Forever?
Again,
Go purchase the Blu-ray. Actually, why not? Why not?
yeah, why not?
If it's your if it's your jam, if you
The,
guys disagree with us, let us know why.
I know many people who really enjoy Batman Forever and don't like Batman Returns and or
Yeah,
Batman and Robin, or they think Batman Forever is the best one, and that's fine. You know, it's why I love films. I will always
yeah.
say that. It's why I love films. You
Hmm.
get a collection of 100 people, sit them down in a theater, and come out and ask them what they thought of the film or what they took away from the film. I guarantee you're going to get almost a different answer from every person.
Hmm.
People see something different. There's some people that, yeah, Batman Forever is their jam. For me, the original 89 Batman was one of those milestone films. And you know what I'm talking about, the ones that have a
Hmm.
major impact on your life. Like you watch that and
Yes.
it's
It made
so
me want to get into film. It made me want to become a filmmaker. So
it's
yes.
so stuck with you that that film had that much of an impact, and Burton's did that for me
Yeah.
with my imagination and everything. So to get
Yeah.
Forever, it was a shock to the system, and so that's what
Yes.
turned me off to it completely.
Yeah.
Was it was just not what I was getting used to, and struck me, and kind of wrapped the warm blanket around me, and then they pulled the
Yeah.
blanket away and have a trumpet blaring in my ear. But there are bits and pieces of this film that I still
Yeah.
enjoyed on the rewatch, just not
Hmm.
nearly enough of them for me to go, hey, this one isn't so bad. For me, it's still just not. Those first two really were what I'm looking for from Batman. This one
Hmm.
definitely is not, and did not seem to get it at all.
No, it did it. It's unfortunate, but I like what you said, like about everyone has a different opinion on a movie. That's why sometimes when I go on the internet and a movie's a certain percent, I'm like, a movie isn't a batting average, A
No.
movie is a piece of art or entertainment or both. And yeah, when someone could see Batman Forever, and I always never understood. I never understood why people liked it but likes Batman, but dislikes Batman and Robin. I'm
Yeah.
like, well, they're both equally terrible.
They are.
It's just
They are.
one is I didn't realize until you were telling me, like, yeah, one just knew straight up it was stupid camp, and the other one tried to be something else.
Yeah.
But having said that, please check out our stuff on my stuff on ypareviews.com. Subscribe to YPA Reviews. The YPA stands for, as you can see on the logo, somewhere here. Yeah,
Somewhere.
you'll probably agree. Mark the Movie Man, where can we check you out? You said Special Mark Productions. I know what
Yep.
game was that you were playing on Twitch? I saw it. It was like one of those
Oh,
overhead things. I'm like, I want something where I can chop a guy's head off, in first person view mode. But
well, I've been watching. I've been playing a lot of retro games.
yeah.
Recently, it's Gauntlet. It was Gauntlet Dark Legacy. I hooked up my PS2, and I'm on the
Oh,
last two
nice.
levels, but I've got to grind. I've got to grind because my guy's just not strong enough to take on the very last two levels in hell. Are just like, it's one of those old school games to where I'm like, I got to go back and fight some bosses for a while or something, get my
Yeah. Well,
levels
I
up.
mean, you are fighting in hell.
Well,
It's
you
going to
are,
be a little hard,
or their equivalent of hell, whatever. But there's just so many massive enemies. I'm just getting my butt handed to. I'm like, okay, no. Uh,
Yeah.
I tell people specialmarkproductions.com for all your movie man needs. You go there. I got links to pretty much everything. I've got a link tree now that gives you buttons that you can take you to everything. 15
Wow.
years on YouTube as of tomorrow is the
Holy.
official anniversary. Thank you. I don't know what that says about me exactly, but I've been here 15 years. We're doing an AMA tomorrow night live, and I don't know what I'm going to be doing for it quite yet, but something. But yeah, it's been 15 years. It's been fun, interesting for sure to see
Yeah.
YouTube change over the years. But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
specialmarkproductions.com is a website that I keep myself, and there's usually links to just about everything.
Yeah, let's see. But Special Mark Productions. Let's pull it up on the I'm gonna pull it up on the screen here for the audience. Oh yeah. So if you go there, he's got
Yeah,
it all.
I
Oh, you
got
got
we
some
I
we got some merch.
I'm branching out, and I've got some merch that I decided, what the heck. I got
There's
interviews
a
on
hot
there.
dude.
We've got, yeah, he's an indie filmmaker. There's some. Ian Simmons has been a guest, has been basically a co-host on my show for about 1.5 years now. We've got the podcast we've been doing 7.5 years. I've been on YouTube 15 years. I actually started in college doing movie review. Actually, before that, high school, I did reviews, and then college, there was a student television station, and I did some reviews there that I've digitally transferred over from the SVHS tapes I recorded them on. I don't know if they'll ever actually see the light of day, though, because I watched them again and went, oh my God. I might trim.
You definitely have to release it now.
Trim what I do have a package that I discovered that I did at a midnight movie where I took the SVHS camera and recorded some interviews back in the day. And so, I mean, it's old school shit. So, but yeah, so tomorrow, I'm not sure what I'm doing, but 15 years, it's been crazy. And I'm not
crack
stopping.
Open a beer or something.
Oh, we'll definitely do that. And I'm always starting new. I mean, you see merch. I'm now doing TikToks.
I gotta get on that. I gotta get on the TikToks.
I've been doing the TikToks. It's a show called The Movie Man's Movie Minute, and it's been on a number of iterations over the years. It was on my Patreon for a while. Before that, it was on a podcast network that did a variety type show, and now its format is perfect on TikTok. I've done about 3 reviews there and a bunny video, so there you go. We've got lots of bunnies in our neighborhood, and I just videotape that type of bunny.
For a second, I was thinking of like David Lynch, like bunny, or
no.
The other one, Donnie Darko.
No, nothing like that. Just a regular bunny. You know,
happy bunny, fun bunny.
Fun bunny, a little Zen bunny if you want. But so I've got the TikTok as well, and I'm everywhere. I dabble in so many things. Because that's just the way my creative mind works. I have to be doing something.
That's literally, I mean, that's me. Like, because I literally came back here from running on vacation. I'm like, I got an episode to do. Shit. And I just popped my 11 because I literally went to vacation to bring my PlayStation to hook it up to a TV and live stream a video game when I could be going outside. So,
well, you are in Door County, so hopefully you get outside a little bit. So,
well, what I'd like to do is just have the window open and then feel like I'm outside.
There you go. Leave the curtains open and the window open. Hey, I'm outside.
I just want to finish Republic Commando. I've never played that game before, and I'm like, holy shit, this game's awesome.
Yeah.
But I think I've slid under my radar because that's like when everyone was like, prequels is stupid. And, I was under that boat. I mean, I wrote a movie where like it was like Misery, but George Lucas gets captured and is forced to rewrite the prequels, and then he gets like Stockholm syndrome. So
Georgie.
Well, that's why I think that's why he gave it to Disney. He's like, here, you screwed up.
He knew the writing on the wall with fandom. He's like, here you go. How much you want to give me? Yeah, sure. I'll take that.
But no, Mark, thank you so much. This was a great conversation. And as we go out, I might get copyright for it, but it's worth it. So much. Thank you so Mark Mechigan, Mark and blah, blah, blah. I'm tired. All right, guys, go on ypareviews.com and check everything out, and we'll see you later.